The latest headlines in the Ivy League, covered through exclusive interviews right now. From campus to campus, go around the Ancient Eight with Brian Seltzer, Thursdays on the Ivy League Digital Network. Football.
Starting this week in University City, where the Penn Quakers are getting ready for their first Ivy League game of the 2014 season. The team has an 0-2 record. Hench Murray is the color analyst on the Penn Sports Network. Hench, a game down in Jacksonville to start the season, and last Saturday a really difficult matchup with number 5 ranked Villanova. What do you think we know about the Penn Quakers at this stage of the season?
Well, as you know, Brian, the coaches are always looking for improvement from week to week, and I think so far it's been a little difficult to judge. Jacksonville was pretty much an unknown commodity. I think they were a better football team than Penn anticipated. I think the coaches feel like they did some good things. They did put points on the board, but they gave up a lot and gave up 2 critical touchdowns in the fourth quarter. And in talking with the coaches, I think they continue to try to see something positive in that. But we're not going to really know until they get into the Ivy season against Dartmouth this Saturday.
Against the Dartmouth Big Green, the last 5 games, Hench, all decided by 1 possession. Last year's game, the longest game in Ivy League history, 4 overtimes at Franklin Field. For both these teams in their first Ivy League games, coming off of losses against top teams in the country last weekend, what type of urgency do you expect to see as far as the tone of this game?
I don't think there's any doubt that there's urgency, and certainly the coaches are going to try to present that understanding to the players, but you never quite know how the players feel after they've started the season 0-2. You would hope that because it's the first Ivy League game of the season that the Quakers will be up and ready to play. But as you and I both know, the games they played with Dartmouth over the last 4 or 5 years have been real nail-biters. And frankly, I think Penn's been kind of lucky to win a couple of them. So it's going to be a test on Saturday to see if these kids can rally themselves, and they're going to have to do that if they expect to get their first Ivy League victory.
Hench Murray getting ready for his 34th season of broadcasting Ivy League games on the Penn Sports Network. Hench, thanks so much.
All right, Brian.
Soccer.
Providence, Rhode Island, Brown University, women's soccer, a real dramatic draw with Dartmouth last Sunday, and a big finish in the 89th minute. Junior Aaron Katz forces the equalizer. Mike Rubin calls the games for BrownBears.tv. Mike, just how much of a boost do you think that can give the Bears going into the heart of conference play?
Anytime you can get a point in that first league match, it's so important. Brown and Dartmouth have opened Ivy play in women's soccer so many times over the last few years, and they've always been fairly dramatic. And to turn a potential 0 in the point column in the league table into even a 1 at that point, I'm sure bolstered the team's morale, made for a much different bus ride back from Hanover to Providence, and I'm sure we'll have them in good spirits come Columbia this week.
Phil Pinson's Mike has been the head coach of Brown for 38 seasons. What's been the key for him to implement a system that has allowed him to sustain and build upon his success over the years?
You know, one of the things that's great about Coach is this sort of unfailing level of positive energy. Because he's been there before, he's typically not really rattled. He reacts the same way, and that's one of the things that I love about working with him, is that he's honest, he's straight, he's seen it before. Players can have confidence in the fact that he's been there, and he knows how to prepare a team over the course of a week in training. I've known him for the better part of a decade and a half, and I just think he's aces.
15 years covering Brown soccer and Ivy League soccer. Mike Rubin from BrownBears.tv. Appreciate the perspective.
Thank you, guys.
Football.
Finishing up this week in Ithaca, New York, on the campus of Cornell University. So much of the program the last 4 years has been about Jeff Matthews. Barry Leonard has called the action for Cornell football for years. Barry, what's the type of identity that the Big Red are trying to establish this season?
Well, they're going from Air Matthews to more of a what you would call ground and pound philosophy under their second-year coach, David Archer. They really do not want to be one-dimensional. When Jeff was here, you typically see 40, 50, 60 passes a game. They want to establish the run, set up a controlled passing game. So it's going to be more of a balance, Brian. They want to have 50-50 balance of pass run most games.
At the outset of the season, Junior James Few, the starting quarterback for Cornell, his absence creating an opportunity for freshman and current Ivy League Rookie of the Week, Jake Jadis. But Barry, going into this weekend's Ivy League opener against the Yale Bulldogs, a team that made a ton of headlines with that big victory in overtime versus Army last Saturday at Yale Bowl. What's going to be the Big Reds' approach going into their first Ivy League game?
They're going to come in, looking to play off the momentum of the home crowd. They've traditionally done well against Yale at home. Obviously, the focus from a defensive standpoint is Tyler Varga and Deion Randall, who had 4 touchdowns against the Red last year. But I think if they can control time of possession and score in the red zone, they feel they can keep it competitive going into the fourth quarter. And at that point, anything can happen.
With the scoop on Cornell football from Ithaca, New York, Barry Leonard. Barry, enjoy the game this weekend.
Thanks, Brian.
That's it for this week's edition of Around the Ancient Eight. We'll do it again next Thursday right here on the Ivy League Digital Network.
This has been Around the Ancient Eight, highlighting headlines from the Ivy League. Check out new episodes premiering Thursdays on the Ivy League Digital Network.